these games signifying that college basketball is back, or was it ever gone?
Well, it was gone in the way we understand it, for sure. I mean, like, to me, and I've been saying this with LaPhonso in our meetings, we're going to be able to feel college basketball again. Like last year we had a season, but I'm not sure we felt it. I mean, you know, a packed, what a better place to really kick off the season in Madison Square Garden. 4 elite teams, great traditions, a packed garden. I think that we're going to be able to feel the start of the season, which I don't think we were able to do last year. So, yeah, I would say, look, the world has changed. You're asking this question with an asshole. But in terms of college basketball, the enthusiasm, the crowd, the energy, the passion, the ownership for the players, the coaches, and everyone that surrounds the game, it's exciting and it is without a doubt packed. You saw it in Madison Square Garden opening night for the Knicks. Now you're going to see opening night in college basketball. You're going to see the same energy and passion, which is great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And tonight is an opportunity to be able to celebrate the players and the coaches and all that they really surrendered themselves to last year, so to speak. I mean, the kids with, you know, daily, it seemed like every couple of days they were getting a nose swabbed, etc., not being able to take meals as a group. And that seems to be behind us. And as a former player who enjoyed the energy in the buildings, whether it was rooting against me or rooting for, I'm delighted that the young people will get a chance to experience that in what I consider the mecca of all of basketball in Madison Square Garden.
And to add to all that, Coach Krzyzewski and his farewell tour, how does that add to all the intrigue and drama?
I think it adds to it immensely. You know, in our era now, I mean, you're talking about a coach who's won 5 national championships and a team who missed the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1995, if I recall, last year. And he's got a renewed energy to finish well. And it's a team that's ranked currently in the top 10, I think they're 10th AP, and I think they're undervalued. I actually think they're one of the top 5 teams in the country and have a legit chance to win the national championship. And how fitting would it be for one of the greatest coaches of all time in our sport to be able to end it with a national championship, and they have a real opportunity.
There'll never be another Mike. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. If you think about it, and think about it, there probably rarely will be another guy that goes from the head coach of the Army to one of the most prestigious basketball programs in the game. There'll be never probably another guy that could have maybe the first 3 years that he had and maybe survive to coach the 4th. And then if you think about the consistency, it is really hard to be that good for that long because there are so many variables. There's a variable in terms of your competition, there's a variable in terms of recruiting, there's a variable in terms of the change in the game, in terms of you know, whether it's now NIL or the portal, or before it was one and dones, or in the manner in which you build your program, the staff turnover. You know, it's incredible to me, the consistency. And you know, when I first got to coaching, you know, the ACC was basically everyone against Dean Smith. And today, the ACC college basketball is kind of, in a lot of ways, everyone chasing Mike. And you know, I think that's, you know, the one thing when I coached in the league, they set the standard. Like, everything we did was to try to compete against Duke in terms of how hard we played, how tough we were, how physical we were, how we defended, how we competed. And he's done that for 40 years. 40 years, which is more, you know, more years than, well, not you, but most of you that are sitting here listening to me play perfectly. So it's incredible, his longevity. How's that championship?
Feeling good. What do you guys think about, you know, Kentucky? It's obviously a different type of roster that we've seen. How do you think that they're going to be prepared for a moment like this that we're going to see tonight?
I think what's going to help them this year is something that they missed last year, which is a speedy guard that can get downhill and create offense for himself and his teammates. And being able to get Severe Wheeler from Georgia was a huge get for Coach Cal. He's going to make scoring a bit easier for all of the pieces that they have around them. And I think you're going to see a team that's playing faster. In some ways, I think their offense will be a little bit more simplified with quick hitters. And all of that is predicated on Severe Wheeler. I expect him to have a big night tonight.
I think a reflection of college basketball today with the transfer portal and the extra year. College basketball is one of the oldest year of college basketball in terms of teams have gotten old. They've gotten old because guys can transfer and be eligible right away. They've gotten old because certain guys have come back for a fifth or super senior year. And John's done a great job of basically filling the void in his roster. But more importantly, I mean, like, I know the Big Blue Nation doesn't want to hear this. Probably the Duke fans don't want to hear it either. But last year was an impossible scenario for both Duke and Kentucky because you've got to be able to touch your team. You've got to be able to connect with your team. You've got to be able to spend. If you have a young team, the summer is so valuable. The ability to have your team over your house and have them see you in a different way besides just coaching. The ability to sit down and watch film with them individually and collectively. The ability for your team to develop a trust within each other. But, you know, last year they couldn't even spend time with each other in the lodge. And they weren't fiercely competitive. And they weren't able to build that toughness. Now, what did he do? You know, Kellen Grady, 2001 scorer, maturity. Severe Wheeler, who said he's an easy bucket creator, is what he is. CJ, an elite shooter. Oscar's sitting out, a guy who just really is, embraces rebounding the basketball, complementing that with some guys that came back, like Keon came back. He gives him another guy that understands coach. So I look at Kentucky, and it's not going to be where they are now. I think today's game is going to be really interesting. It really comes down to how much better they can get. How much will Damian Collins get better? How much will Bryce Hopkins get better? Tide High getting used to playing in this type of stage. But I just get a kick out of old people like, oh, he's got to change this, he's got to change. He has changed. I mean, he spent time with Nick Nurse this summer in terms of trying to taking basically his dribble drive and putting it on steroids in a lot of ways and playing with more flow. But 2 years ago, which is one season ago, he won the SEC by 3 games. Like, the dude didn't forget how to coach. Right? It was a very tough hand they were dealt. But I've known him forever, and he's got a focus. And you're seeing what's happening in recruiting, and you're seeing what's happening as he's interacting with his team. That the things you take for granted when it gets taken away, like spending time with your team. Like most of us, like, you don't understand. Yeah, he makes a ton of money and all that. You get past that point. Like, impacting people's lives is really, in the end, what we all really started to get coaching for, because there wasn't anybody. And I think you can see a renewed, I wouldn't say renewed, but an enjoyment of all those aspects of the job. That I think he's really focused, and I think the team will get a lot better.
Seth, obviously we have a Big Ten team playing tonight. How much can we make of the poor performance in the NCAA tournament last year by the Big Ten as a precursor to this season?
I think Big Ten's best conference college basketball season. I thought the same then. Just because they didn't play well in the NCAA tournament, I think being in Indianapolis for 2 weeks was not a good thing for the Big Ten. They had the Big Ten tournament there, and all those teams that made the tournament had to stay and wait. So if you got knocked out on Thursday, you were sitting in a hotel room, basically with nothing to do for a week. Probably not ideal. The situation you want to be in. I look at the Big Ten and I look at, everyone says, get old and stay old. The Big Ten's been able to stay old. The Big Ten's got maturity. I look at the league, whether it's Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Ohio State, who I think has a chance to, AJ Liddell, maybe the player of the year in the league, who's going to compete for player of the year in the country. Maryland's going to be better. They get Russell and they get Wahad. Now not that Scott's going to be able to play his correct position. I look at the Big Ten and I don't put as much into it. Yeah, they had a really disappointing NCAA tournament, but I still look at the league and I look at the depth of the league. It's the best scouted. It's the best coached. It's probably the best venues day in and day out. I think this year, there are no rocking chair games in that league. Northwestern's returning Ardege, it's returning Boo Buie, it's returning Nance. So those are 3 really good players. So I think the league is Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis. I just think the league is really good, and I think last year they didn't play well in the tournament.
So you think Minnesota and Penn State are way down?
They've got a long way to go.
You mentioned,
Yeah, I do. Go ahead, please.
you mentioned Duke possibly being able to win it all this season. Tell us why you think that.
I look first and see, as a former big, to see if you have rim protection. Mark Williams. I don't know if there are many bigs that finished the season the way he did. Nearly 18 points a game, 7 rebounds. He's an active runner, willing shot blocker, moves so well laterally. You can put him in situations in ball screens, in late clock situations. He can switch out for a couple seconds on a smaller guard, so they have rim protection. They have a guy that's likely going to be the number 2 pick in the draft, Paolo Banchero. 6'10", 240 pounds, can stick it from 3. He can rip it off the backboard on the defensive end, push it up the floor, try to get to the rim himself, or make a play. A guy whose name that you may not know now, that you'll know when we leave this tonight, a kid named Trevor Keels. Big, physical, 6'4", can stick it from the perimeter. They're going to be a really good defensive team, and so I feel that they have shot makers this year. They have guys who can rebound the basketball, and they have several playmakers to complement their defense, which will be up and in and able to create some turnovers and get out in transition. I said it before, they're ranked 10th now. They're a top 5 team, and they have a shot to win it all.
You mentioned Jeremy Roach, who can really guard. I mean, they're going to get back to being Duke, not Duke without the D. I mean, Trevor Keels is Derrick Henry playing basketball. I mean, he is a big dude, and he is a hard-playing guy. Wendell Moore had a great end of the season last year. Last, I think, 6 games, 11 points, 5 rebounds, like 3.5 assists. I mean, they've got another team. So they've got some maturity. They've got talented freshmen. And I think that, I was actually with Jay Will this morning, and I think this will be a Duke team that will get back to guarding the way the good Duke teams guard. Like Duke has been in a mindset a little bit of outscoring you. They haven't taken a lot away from you. They just dominated you with their talent offensively. I think this team has a chance to dominate you on the defensive end, which is going to be able to play ahead of the defense and get some easy scoring opportunities.
Talking about Mark Williams, how do you see the Mark Williams Oscar Tshiebwe matchup impacting the game? Are there any other matchups that you think will play a major factor?
Yeah, I think that one's going to be key. Oscar Tshiebwe, more of a rebounder, can run the floor hard, kind of a drop-off finisher kind of guy. Mark Williams, similar, but I think he has a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more length and range in his game. But I think it's going to come down to Kentucky. Can they handle the defensive pressure of Duke? Can they take care of the basketball? Duke's, this is my 13th season now with ESPN, and Duke, when they're at their best, they're able to play out in transition. They want to play fast. So the better Kentucky can take care of the basketball, it takes away the transition game. And the second thing is going to be shot selection. If you're taking bad shots against Duke, it's going to be dunks on the other end. And so for Kentucky to have a chance to win the basketball game, they've got to take care of the basketball, and the shot selection is going to have to be excellent.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is how Kentucky matches up with Paolo Banchero. I mean, he's that versatile, and how they use him. Because they can go smaller and play Griffin and Banchero and without Williams, or they can go big and be like have a monster lineup. I think, can you keep Severe Wheeler in control? Like who's going to match up with? Is it going to be Jeremy Roach? Is it going to be Trevor Keels? I mean, containing Wheeler is a easy basket creator. So if you can contain him, like he's the one guy on the perimeter that can just get to the rim, make a play to draw 2, make a play, shooting it better. They're not going to play him probably off the ball. They'll probably play a little soft and help. So I think that'll be a matchup. How they match up and contain Wheeler for Duke, and then obviously I think Paolo just, right now it looks like Keon Brooks will probably start for Kentucky. All right, so you're going to have to be physically strong enough to defend him in post-ups or mid-posts.
Yeah.
All right, you have to do a good job in defensive transition because he'll rip and go with the defensive rebound. All right, and then you're going to have to cut him out on the glass because he is a physical, quick rebounder.
Yeah.
So for Keon, that's going to be a challenge. And then the front court of Kentucky, like who's the next guy up? Is it Damian Collins, who's physically maybe not ready but athletic? Is it going to be Lance Ware? Are they going to go smaller and do Bryce Hopkins? I mean, that's going to be an interesting, I think, just to watch what Cal does with that front court situation. It'll be interesting.
So if the game tonight stays at an up-tempo pace for all 40 minutes, do you think Kentucky can handle that? Do you think they can hang?
If it stays an up-tempo pace, that means they're playing ahead of the defense also, which might be, quite honestly, to their advantage. If they can play ahead of the defense before defense gets set, that means it's Wheeler in open court. That means it's van passes to Ty Washington. Like, Ty and Keels could be a monster matchup.
Yes.
Could be a monster. They go Roach on Wheeler, like that'll be a monster. That'll be a monster matchup. But if the game gets really up and down, and all of a sudden now it's advance pass, attack, kick, second pass, that might be like this is a Kentucky team that's going to make shots. And they'll admit, but they're going to make shots. I mean, you look at the line, 2,000-point scorer, Kellen Grady, C.J. Frederick. Now he hasn't played in practice a lot. He's a 47% career three-point shooter. Ty can shoot it and also create some. Keon's shown that he has the ability to shoot three. So this game has a chance to be really entertaining. But I will not walk away from this game with any conclusions like, oh, Kentucky's good, Kentucky's bad. I think Kentucky is a work in progress. I would say that Duke is probably further ahead at this point. Doesn't mean that Kentucky can't win. It doesn't mean Kentucky can't be a real factor by the end of the season as these guys develop.
Yeah, Seth, that's interesting you say that. Different coaches look at these early season games differently. And John as well as anybody. Do you think the fact that he's got his most experienced team ever coming back, that maybe he's putting a little bit
They're
more
not coming
emphasis?
back though, because he's got the most experienced team, but he doesn't have the most experience in coming back. He's got the most experienced team like most of college basketball because he's got all these transfer portal guys that have maturity. He's basically got, Dante Allen, Oscar for half a year, and Keon. And Dominic Mitch is a factor. So, look, I think that Cal keeps this game in perspective, and I think most coaches will keep tonight in perspective. Bill Self had a great quote today. He said, playing the Champions Classic is not really good for your team, but it's really good for the game. So, because this game and the stage this game is on this early in the season, even though you have more access to your players, anything after this is almost a letdown the next few weeks. But in terms of what it does for the game, it's a big game when Adam Zagoria shows up.
You said that about Tom Kachowski too.
And that was a big game when Tom Kachowski showed up.
He's ready to love.
This has been an event that in years past, Kentucky has had players thrive under these bright lights, and it's kind of been a kind of foreshadowing what we've seen later in the season. Tyrese Maxey, Julius Randle, Malik Monk, those type. Is there a player that you guys kind of think could emerge in that spotlight?
He's Ty. Yeah, he's different. He's got a poise about him beyond his years. And I was telling Seth, he has a low release point on it, but he shoots the basketball a lot better than I thought he did. And he has an awareness out there on the floor. I think you'll see him sprinting in transition, getting some three opportunities in transition on ball reversals. I think you'll see him getting in the lane and making plays. And so if there's one guy, it's probably two, but if there's one guy on Kentucky's team outside of Severe Wheeler, because he'll do it in a different way, it would be Ty Washington.
Severe Wheeler is going to be. He's going to be fun to watch. There'll be times he'll play for both teams. He's going to play some. He's got to understand. 4 turnovers a game, 5 turnovers a game, whatever he did at Georgia.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to get an interesting reaction from the bench. If you guys, Kentucky guys, no, that's not going to go over him. But he's an easy bucket creator. He puts so much pressure on defense, and little guards have to have different ways to finish. The best little guards of two teams, they've got to be disruptive defensively, which he can be, and they've got to find different ways to finish. He's got a lot of different ways to finish around the basket. So I think Wheeler has a guy that has a chance. And I think you're all going to be surprised on Oscar because he's not explosive finishing and closing off, but I'll tell you what he is. The dude's feet He reminds me of a bigger, stronger Jonathan Chama Chachua, JTT. His feet defensively, his ability to get on the ball screen and then recover back, his ability to run rim to rim, his ability to get back in transition and then corral the ball. And I was with them some a little bit in the summer, and then day before pro day I watched a couple practices, and he's got incredible feet for a big. So look, I just think it's going to be. And I'm going to go back to the same thing. You're going to be able to feel college basketball today, feel it for the first time in 18, 19, whatever. I lose track of the months, and man, that's a good feeling. And to have it here in Madison Square Garden, kind of like the renaissance of college basketball the way we know it. And I'm biased because I'm a New Yorker, but like to me, having starting the season here in Champions Year is like, we saw the playoffs last year with the Knicks. We saw the incredible first game at the Garden, start the NBA season. This is going to be the same environment where we're going to really feel the energy, and it's going to be electric, and it's going to be like, this is what it feels like. Like Seinfeld would say, I think that's going to be what tonight's all about, more than any individual player, any team.
To your point, Duke's a heavy help team, and at times they can be exposed by playing too high in the lanes or coming to help unnecessarily, and that's where Severe's decision making once he gets into the gap is going to be huge, because they're going to come, and can he be patient enough to be able to find open shooters? Because that's the one thing, as Seth mentioned earlier, that Kentucky has this year that they didn't have.
Or get swallowed out.
Yeah, where he can wait and find open shooters and then get some open looks out there. So that's going to be his ability to impact the game is going to be important for Kentucky to win it.
Last question in the front.
You talked about this being a good event for college basketball. I gotta ask you, how good is Dick Vitale for college basketball?
We miss Coach. I've been texting with him almost every day. I joke around. I say, if there wasn't any Coach Vitale, then all those fired coaches wouldn't have anywhere to land, because he built a bridge for all of us to cross. But in talking to Coach, he made his spirit. He gets emotional, but his spirit is just—it's incredible. And obviously he's documented everything he's going through on his Twitter feed. But you notice he always has that same tweet after about talking about the people that don't have everyone's prayers, that don't have this tremendous support that he has. And that's Coach. I know everyone else sees Dick and V. He recruited my brother. My brother was a senior in high school when he was an assistant at Rutgers. I've known him since I'm about 13 years old. And, as much as he's fighting and he's listening to his doctors, and we're going to miss him a lot, he always takes time to also talk about like the people that don't have the support that he has. And to me, every time I read that, I get choked up, because it just kind of moves me.
I did a feature story on him a couple months ago, and took my respect for him to a whole new level.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. He's a character, but I don't think basketball created his character. He's maintained his character through his whole life, from his upbringing.
He left his wife in the car when he did a home visit with me and my brother. And my mom turned to me and said, Seth, go check. There's a woman in Coach Vitale's car. That was Lorraine. All of a sudden, we brought her out of the car, and obviously, he's an amazing man. That's what it comes down to. He really is. And he's fighting like hell, and he's incredible. He's incredible.
Simply said for me is the growth of our collegiate game. When you think of college basketball, you think Dick Vitale, and I'm not certain. I'm confident that our game, in terms of its notoriety and popularity, wouldn't be where it is right now if it weren't for Dick Vitale.
Great.
Enjoy the games.